Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are calling mulligans in Verde Beach. Today we are going to rebuild the downtown harbor, and I was going to call a mulligan here, but I think that Mother Nature is going to do the trick for us. At the end of the previous episode, a tsunami warning was called, and boy oh boy, this is a biggin. I think that we are going to have some real serious problems. So before we can start anything, it doesn't really make a ton of sense for me to attempt to fix this. I think we are going to need to wait for the tsunami to pass. And I'm curious. It looks pretty bad right here. Let's see if it hit. Oh, wow. The airport is underwater. I'm curious. The other place that's very susceptible to damage is over here. I think Oceanside got wiped out during the last tsunami. We're going to have to see. Hopefully that's not. Oh, yep. That's a big wave. We're going to have to see. I'm nervous for Sterling Estates. It's a pretty susceptible place to damage, but so is our downtown, and we've already got some places underwater. Let's find a place to post up while the tsunami clears. And actually, before we do that, we need to evacuate our citizens into all of the shelters that we built. Hopefully, they're built in safe locations. Never really thought about that. And just like that, it appears that we have mostly cleared our tsunami. That said, it has left some damage in its wake. I am nervous to look around, particularly at places like the airport, which looked like they were in a pretty bad way. Wow, no damage at all. All right, we're going to survey the damage a bit, and then I'm going to repair some of the damage off camera. The airport survived unscathed. Oh, I'm wrong. There's one building that is demolished, but besides that, pretty good. Over here, looks like we got a couple of spots. And along the coast, I'm guessing generally with these, the mass transit infrastructure, subways in particular, all end up being demolished. You see the same thing. Yeah, that's a subway station right there. What is this? The botanical gardens collapsed. Down here, I would have expected most of this to collapse. We lost one thing, not bad. And then down here again, a lot. This at least gives us rationale for why we would need to do something here, because everything was demolished. So thank you, Mother Nature. We are going to take care of this. We will get rid of all of this in this harbor. And then I'm wondering, in the Hamilton experience, yeah, it was a bad time. We lost a few things, but I honestly thought it was going to be way, way worse. So I think we got away with one here. That said, we've got some new tricks up our sleeve, and we are going to make this recovery even faster than it already is, because we're honestly seeing some decent progress. We have a new disaster response building, and I want to see how this compares to our old one. So this is our old one, and it has 3 helicopters and 10 vehicles. Costs $640 a week. This one costs $1,600 per week, but has 10 helicopters. So we have none of the vehicles, but we get a ton of helicopters. And I think it's worth it to me. We're going to replace this. The height of realism. Just demolish it. I kind of wish that this had vehicles so that I could say we were upgrading that facility, but the helicopters are significantly more versatile, so I think this is probably a good change. All the helicopters in use. I guess even though we have all these helipads, they all deploy from the same spot. Interesting. And now I want to look over here. How is the damage? It's significant. Holy cow. So this is a really bad area. Maybe not as bad as Oceanside, which I think is potentially the absolute most flood-prone area in Verde Beach. It's just been demolished a couple of times. I'm going to repair everything except for this, and we will be right back. All right, our disaster is done, and we lost over 4,400 citizens, over 1,000 buildings, and over 3,500, almost 3,600 meters of roads. Just a wild disaster. Clearly one of the worst tsunamis we've had in the city. I've never seen this before. Check this out. So many Sims just streaming out of this emergency shelter. They're all walking. Wow, just wild. I guess it makes sense. The transit system's broken, but I guess there's a lot of cars spawning too. That's pretty wild. And after an epic game of whack-a-mole, here we are looking great. In fact, our population has rebounded. I think we are actually about 1,000 higher than we were before the disaster. Now we are going to need to do something about this harbor. We're just going to eliminate the whole thing to start out and then rethink this whole thing. We're going to really bring a bunch of modes together. We have trams here, we have buses, we have monorail right here, and we have new hubs available to us. And by golly, we're going to use those. So let's go ahead and eliminate this and get moving. All right, let's select a hub. So I'm going to go into the transport menu and we'll go over to our public transportation hubs, and we have this awesome user interface now. So obviously we want ships, and I said we want monorail, and that narrows it down to one. We want the Harbor Bus Monorail Hub. And I think we're going to need to do something like this because our monorail is going to be our limiting factor here. If we put it on this side, the monorail is pointing out towards the Hamilton experience, and that's not going to work. So we are going to dig in a little bit, and we're going to just turn this around. So we'll send it out this way a bit. And we're having a conflict here, so I think that must be some of our ferry lines. Let's check that out. Indeed, that is exactly what it is. So we need to delete some of these, and we'll reestablish those in just a little bit. And as soon as we do that, we're able to put our hub in place. There we go. And we're not going to use key walls here. We're going to get a little creative with this. And wow, we're going to need to get super creative right here because I think we're going to need to run this right along here. This makes me want to move this back just a little bit. So I'm going to extend this out a little bit further. And I think we'll call that good enough. For the time being, we're just going to use some normal roads to get everything connected up. We'll use our road guidelines to find this perfect guideline right there and call it good. And I want to turn the contours back on because we've got some ugly stuff happening here and we can improve upon this. Looking good. And now we got to talk about our other hub that we're going to have over here, which I think is going to be really interesting too. And actually, we need to extend this out a bit further. And I'm noticing that this is actually raised up a little bit. I'm going to grab this height here and we'll pull this down. And the next thing I want to lay it down is another hub. So this time I want to go for a ferry tram hub. And this is what we're going to throw down. We've got this ferry tram hub right here, but I want this to line up perfectly. So we're going to just extend this down a little bit. Then I'll send this over and see if I can make a nice connection. I just had to keep clicking and eventually I got it. Now let's connect up with our existing grid. And this we can work with. So we need to turn this around. We're going to need to have some sort of turnaround for our trams, but that's not a big deal. Let's get that going. So I like the idea of having just the tram track here, not a road. So we're going to extend that up this way. And then I forgot that we have some tram tracks that actually have some grass. We also have some that have bicycle facilities. So we should get a little bit more creative with this. And I think we might use these ones right here. And actually, bad decision. We have to use these ones right here because I do want to pull the monorail in. There we go. I think that covers all of our bases. Yeah, that is pretty good. Now that we have that, it's time to try to figure out what's going to go here. And I'm thinking this is where we use the shopping malls content creator pack to fill in some of these areas. So we're going to have a number of tree-lined streets through here. And because we're using the malls content creator pack, I really think it's important that we keep nice rigid grids. That will make this look a lot better than it could otherwise. All right, I played around with this way longer than I should have, but I really like the result. So what we've basically done is we've tried to have as many nice, clean grids as we can because this new content creator pack plays best with nice, rigid grids. I'm going to extend this block out here. This is our harbor district, so we'll just extend this out here. And then I want to apply our new shopping mall style here. But I remember seeing some green and self-sufficient buildings through here. So I believe we've got to also remove our commercial specialization. So we'll just come through, have no commercial specialization. And you saw that removed something. That means that we did have organic and local on here. So that was a good change. Now let's think about some parking. We'll add a ramp down here. We're gonna use some eminent domain here. Not the most realistic thing. But again, this is Mulligan Mania. So we're gonna take some liberties. And one of those liberties is gonna be terrain. So there we go. Just something. We don't need a ton of parking, but we have some at least. Folks could be expected to reverse around here on foot, on a bike, some other way. And before this all zones in, let's get some parks and plazas through here. So I'm adding a food truck plaza right here. We have this flower plaza. Maybe this is actually a nice place to add that because our grid is all broken. Truthfully, we'll add a couple of them. That's nice. There we go. Just a couple of plazas to keep things a little bit more lively through here. And then I will also extend our districting out here. I might need to get creative with some paths to make this look a little bit nicer. You can see it's a little bit janky right now, but let's focus on our water pipes real quick. We'll put them right underneath the road, right where they belong. All right, now that this is all filling in, let's get our transportation networks running. So I'm going to start out with our monorail. And basically, I just want to add a stop. So I'm going to pull this line and just run this right in here. So that is our Sunset line. The green line is our Keller House line, I believe. So there we go. I've run both of them back right here. And the main reason for that is we have our harbor here now. So I want to discontinue this one because I want the ships to go over here. Hopefully they do a better job of bunching, not bunching, than we were doing right here. But there we go. And we're going to need to make some modifications here. You can see that we were really planning on this being an important thing here. So I'm going to get rid of that. And then I'm going to run a path through here to make that connection that we had before. And then I'm noticing that we have a whole bunch of stuff kind of off in the dirt now. I'm going to add in some sort of pavers here to clean that up. There we go. Not a perfect solution, but it's certainly better than it was. And I'm noticing while we're over here that the walking tours are kind of messed up. So let's see if we can get those repaired as well. So we'll go into our tours and we'll look at our walking tours. And it's just too long and it looks like it's super broken. Okay, our walking tour is working once again. What's not working is our Ferris wheel. Apparently that was the road access and I've now taken it away. So I'll need to spin this back around and now we should be in a good place. Except for our ferries. So that is our next mode of transportation that we are going to connect up. We need to draw some new ferry pathways. So I'm going to just reestablish this right here. And then we're going to delete these ones. These are pretty broken at this point. And if we don't fix those, what we're going to see is our ships clipping all over the place. And there we go. Everything should be running. And I tried to make nice sweeping movements for all of the different boats. We're going to also need to adjust our routes because we have some stops right here. All right, so we've got most of our ferry lines reestablished, but we've got one that's a real struggle. So that's this ferry line 7. And the way that I'm going to figure out what this route actually is I'll click into the route and I should be able to click on each of the stops now. And I don't know why that's flooding. That's no good. But I can click on each of the stops. I can see that this route basically went from here to here, way out to our cargo terminal out there. So I'll delete this line and then draw a brand new one. And there we go. We have reestablished that line. So we should be in a good place there. I think that we're good except for our trams. And remember, the trams were the whole reason that we have this ferry tram terminal to begin with. So we'll come into here and we basically want to change this loop. And we have established a connection right here. I'm going to add a stop right here so that you could interface between these two modes. And then we'll have one right here as well, and one right here. The other thing that we need to do is modify our bus routes. You see that our bus routes are now kind of looping in this area. I'm going to move all of these stops, which were at the old terminal, and move them inside of this new hub. There we go. That should be all of them. And boy, oh boy, is there a lot of transportation stuff happening right here. But I love this. That's the beauty of all these hubs. They really allow you to go wild on all of these different modes of transportation. So now we didn't add a key wall. What are we going to do back here to make this look okay? Got a couple ideas. The very first thing though I want to do is isolate this entire area. We're going to slow this way down, and I'm going to use all this extra soil, and we're going to do something pretty weird. Now, there is a method to this madness. Basically, I want to pump the seawater into the drinking water. I know, stick with me, stick with me. We're going to completely empty this out. Wow, that was some determination there. And then we are, jeez. After that, we are going to decorate around here with some rocks, grasses, and weeds. So it's going to be just a moment, but we'll get this thing emptied out, and then we'll get building. Okay, this took a few more water pumps than I was imagining it would, but we've done the trick. Now, I glanced down at our population, and would you believe that we have gained 10,000 over where we started the episode? So we dropped 10, and then we gained 20. Pretty wild. Okay, so the whole reason that we've done this is that now we can landscape all the way down to the ocean floor. So this is going to be really helpful in making this look reasonable. And I'm going to layer this with a few things. We'll start out with some rocks. We'll go with our small little pebbles, and I will make my finger hurt. And that's a lot of rocks. And it looks pretty bad. And you might be thinking, this guy's fallen off. Trust the process. Like the 76ers. Trust the process. All right. We're going to throw a bunch of this stuff along the bottom, some of our weeds. And next, I want to use some of our long grasses, our tall grass clusters. And I'm going to pull these a little bit closer to the top. Now, here's the thing. The trick with all of this is that I'm able to place whatever I want right now because it's dry. And as soon as this is no longer dry, I'm not going to be able to plant anything. So it's okay to go a little bit extra on this stuff. The only thing that I'll be able to place extra that I'm 100% sure I'll be able to place more of is rocks. And that's why I didn't go quite as hard as you might have imagined I'd go on the rocks. Now's the moment of truth. Let's do it. And now I'm going to turn the contours off because I no longer care about them. What I care about is the way that this looks visually. And the fun thing is I can pop this up. So I'm in my middle of the range setting on a small brush, and I'm just tapping to pop this up so I get rid of the dark spots, and I start to see some of the stuff that I planted pop back up. And then we'll add some rocks to the exposed areas, and it'll look even better. Now with this one, I actually want to lower it into the ground. So instead of hitting the left mouse button, I'll hit the right mouse button and just lower this down a little ways. There we go. I think it's looking pretty darn good. Now, the last thing I want to do is focus on some detailing in here. We've got some kind of weird stuff going on. Like this happens with this new content creator pack when you have 1x1 locations to fill in. So we're just going to fill this in with a path that'll make it look a little bit better. And the other thing that I want to focus on are some of these empty locations. Add some paths, again, cover some of these up. And then right here is another location where maybe we just add a path just to clean up our zoning. And while we wait for that to fill in, I'm going to add some fences around here. So we're gonna go with a park fence right along here, and I'll follow the ruin mark on the edge of this. And I'll do the exact same thing over here. There we go. Got that nice and filled in. We've got our new building, and it is completely fine too. So now I want to add a little bit of landscaping along here, and I want to use some of our new stuff and then fill in some of these gaps with some flowers or things of that nature. All right, and we've added just a couple of palm trees through here to make this place feel like Verde Beach, and I really think it's looking good. And now that we've got that, I think the only thing that we can do is take inventory of what we've done with a brief city tour. You know, and though we've had a lot happen this episode, I want to say that all's well that ends well. This place is pretty fantastic. I really like the way this turned out, and it just feels like it has so much more of a presence than the old harbor. All of that said, this is rebuild number 3. I think it's the best one, but I want to see how these hubs are doing. 47 passengers served. That feels like a pretty modest projection right there. And right here, we're seeing 98. Something's off there. Oh my goodness. This is why our ridership is as bad as it is. Look at all those people waiting to get on the monorail. I'm going to look at that quickly, but I think that this is something that we're going to need to really take a look at in a future episode in a significant way. So we have 800 people queued up there and almost, 265 here. So that is our real problem. I will change the vehicle to the higher capacity vehicle and crank this to 150. And in the next one, I think we're going to need to look at our transportation system generally and see if we need to do any optimizations to our transit network. But I think for today, we are going to leave it here. And I really hope that you've enjoyed this one. This is the last of our mini episodes, and we'll be coming back soon with a full episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I really can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for the privilege of your time today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.